All right, so we're diving deep today into football, really getting into it, like what makes it tick.
Yeah, always fun to get a bit philosophical about the beautiful game.
Totally. So we've got these two articles, both about, well, they're focused on Thierry Henry's views.
Ah, Henry. Always insightful. What's he got his eye on this time?
This contrast, right, between players who are all about instinct and, well, the modern game,
Yeah.
which is way more structured, all data-driven and stuff.
Yeah, that shift is definitely something, like, how do you even balance those two things?
Exactly. So that's what we're digging into. And this kid, Lamine Yamal, he's at the center of it all.
Oh, yeah. Yamal at Euro 2024, that's been something else.
18 years old, youngest ever at the tournament, racking up those goal contributions. Crazy, right?
It's not just the stats, though, is it? Like, Henry sees something deeper in him.
Right, right. It's the specific moment in the semifinal against France. Spain's winning 2-1, pressure's on.
And Yamal gets the ball. Now, most young players in that spot, they'd go for the spectacular play, try to take on the defender.
Show off a bit, yeah, go for the glory.
Exactly. But Yamal, he makes a tactical pass, keeps possession instead of going for the individual flair.
Which, I mean, this is Thierry Henry we're talking about. The guy was all about those dazzling moves. So for him to be impressed by a simple pass.
Says a lot, doesn't it? Henry was blown away by how mature Yamal's decision-making was. Like, he saw a player who just gets it,
That's got to be rare, that kind of awareness in someone so young. Makes you wonder, is Yamal just, like, one of a kind? Or can you actually teach that instinct?
Tough question. Probably a mix of both, right? You need that raw talent, but you also got to nurture it, give it space to develop.
It makes you think about how we develop young players now. All the focus on data and rigid training. Are we, like, killing off some of that instinct?
Could be. Henry's been pretty vocal about wanting to see more of those instinct-driven players, the ones who take risks. Shoot from miles out, try the unexpected.
The ones that keep you on the edge of your seat. Like, What are they going to do next?
Exactly.
Which brings us to how Henry sees the game itself changing. He said, the rules of the game have changed the game. Which, well, duh, right. But he means something more by that.
Oh, absolutely. He's talking about stricter penalties for fouls, less tolerance for all that diving, that whole shift towards tactical discipline. It's like, has football become too sanitized?
Yeah, maybe. Like less room for personality, for those moments of unexpected brilliance.
Yeah.
And is that focus on structure, on control, is it actually hurting the game?
It's something to think about, that's for sure. But before we get too deep into that, I think we should explore Henry's perspective a bit more. What's he actually missing?
Okay, good point. And I think a good place to start is that no lays, no game campaign. It sounds random, but I think it tells us something important about Henry's relationship with football.
You're right. It's not all about tactics and winning. It's also about the shared experience, the little rituals, the things that connect us to the game on a deeper level.
And that campaign, with Henry and Alexia Putellas looking for a bar to watch the Champions League, and they'll only stay if they have Lee's chips. It kind of captures that.
Yeah, some grace.
And that fan offering to make Henry chips from a potato?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. That's amazing. It shows that for Henry, football is about those human connections,
It really does. And it makes you wonder, are we losing sight of that a little? With all the obsession over data and perfect strategies.
So we have Yamal, this young talent, all about instinct. And then Henry, looking back at a time when the game was less rigid, more free-flowing. But where do those two connect? Like, what place does instinct have in the modern game?
That's the question, isn't it? Henry definitely thinks it's crucial, that it adds an element of surprise, of creativity that you can't get from algorithms or whatever.
He even said he misses those players who'll just, like, shoot from 40 yards out or try to dribble past everyone. That fearlessness is kind of gone.
Yeah. But then there's the other side. Modern football is all about minimizing errors, playing it safe, sticking to the plan. You hear it all the time. Don't lose it.
Which, yeah, makes sense. But it can get a bit predictable. Like you're watching a movie you've seen 100 times.
Right.
And this is where Henry's own experience comes in. I mean, he was all about instinct. Never backed down from a challenge. He was that fearlessness that seems to be missing now. So what do you think? Can you have both? Structure and instinct in this data-driven world. Or is that unpredictable magic just going to fade away?
It's a tough one. And it kind of leads us to the next part of our deep dive, the story of Yaya Sanogo.
Ah, yes. The new Thierry Henry. But we all know how that turned out.
Yeah.
That's a story for part 2, so stick around.
So Yaya Sanogo, remember him, signed with Arsenal, and everyone's like, he's the next Henry. Even got nominated for that Golden Boy Award. Crazy, right?
Oh, yeah, huge expectations. Wenger was raving about him, saying he had a big future, which, coming from Wenger, that's like a golden ticket,
Yeah.
you know?
It was. But things didn't really go as planned, did they?
It was a bit of a, well, yeah.
Yeah.
He had his moments, got some playing time in big games.
But the goals just weren't there. Maybe the pressure got to him. Who knows?
He did score in that Champions League match against Dortmund.
Oh, right.
I mean, that's a pretty decent only goal to have.
True. Still, it wasn't enough to, like, solidify his place at Arsenal.
After that, it was loan after loan. Palace, Ajax, Charlton. He clearly had talent, but something was missing.
Right. Was it tactical awareness? Mental toughness? Hard to say.
And then, poof, gone for like 18 months.
Yeah.
A guy who was supposed to be the next big thing just disappears. It's wild how these careers go, you know?
You never know what'll happen.
Nope.
And then, bam, he signs with Urartu in Armenia.
Out of nowhere.
Total curveball.
What do you think? Was that him trying to like rediscover his love for the game? Away from all the pressure?
Maybe. Get back to basics.
Seems like it worked, though. Scored 2 goals in his debut, even won the league title.
He did, though he didn't actually play enough to get a medal, which is kind of funny, you know.
That is kind of funny.
But then off he goes again. This time, China. Second division.
Kindle Red Lions, right?
Yep. What's interesting about Sanogo is he makes you rethink what a successful football career even means.
It's not always the trophies, the fame, right?
Maybe for some guys it's about finding that fulfillment, you know, even if it's in unexpected places.
Blazing your own trail.
Exactly. It makes you think about talent, too. Like, is there only one right way to make it?
Or can you have multiple paths, all leading to something meaningful?
Totally. And it ties back into our whole instinct versus structure thing. Maybe Sanogo, in a way, he represents that struggle.
Had the talent, but not the, I don't know, the discipline.
Maybe. Or maybe the pressure of being the next Henry just got to him.
It's tough to live up to those kinds of labels.
It is. Maybe stepping away from that whole, like, top-tier pressure cooker, let him find his own way. Play on his own terms.
And maybe that is success, in a way. Finding that joy, you know. Yeah, absolutely.
So we've got Lamine Yamal, this young kid with pure instinct. We've got Henry, wishing for a more spontaneous era. And now Sanogo, carving his own path.
It all circles back to that question. How do you reconcile those two things? Instinct and structure. What do we as fans even want to see?
Do we want to see perfection, everything planned out? Or do we want those moments of, like, pure magic when a player just goes for it? It's like, do you want a symphony or, like, a jazz solo?
That's a good way to put it. Maybe it's a bit of both, right?
Yeah.
We love seeing a team that's totally in sync, but then, bam, someone does something completely unexpected, and it's like, whoa.
It's that element of surprise, you know? Makes it exciting. Like, you just never know what's going to happen next.
And it reminds you that it's not just robots out there, it's people. With creativity, with those gut feelings.
Like Yamal with that pass. Everyone thought he'd go for the highlight reel, but he made the smart play. Talent and brains, right?
Exactly. So maybe that's the future, finding players who can, I don't know, do both. Play within the system, but also know when to break free. Like having that awareness, knowing when to stick to the plan and when to just trust your gut.
Right. Structure and instinct working together.
Controlled chaos, almost.
Yeah, I like that. You need the structure, the foundation to build on. But then you need those players who can see those little openings, those opportunities that no one else sees.
Who aren't afraid to take a chance.
It's finding that balance. And that's what makes football so great, right? You never really know what's going to happen.
It's kind of like life in a way, isn't it? You
Yep.
make plans, but then things happen and you got to adapt. And sometimes those unexpected turns, those are the things that, I don't know, make it all worthwhile.
I think you're right. So if we're going to sum up this whole instinct versus structure thing, I think the takeaway is you need both. They both have a place in the game.
We need those tactical masterminds, the ones who see the whole chessboard.
Absolutely. But we also need those players who just, like, light things up, the ones who remind us why we love this game so much.
So to everyone listening, next time you're watching a match, keep an eye out for those moments, the ones that make you jump out of your seat.
Even with all the data and analysis, there's still room for magic. Those flashes of brilliance, that's what keeps the game alive.
Well said. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into football. Until next time, keep exploring, keep thinking, and keep that passion for the beautiful game burning bright.